Welcome back. All right, news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet for your Friday. It is November the 5th. And there'll be some personal news at the end of this video as well. So, starting at the top of the board, the Minnesota Wild have signed Brett Leason to a professional tryout. So, this is not a contract with the team, of course. This is a tryout to get a contract from the team. Leason's a decent bottom six option. We'll see if he ends up getting a job with the Minnesota Wild, if he does earn himself a contract. I would think if he doesn't, he probably ends up getting a tryout somewhere else. I think eventually Leason finds himself a job in the NHL or signs an AHL contract and maybe plays his way into an NHL contract later in the season. But good move by Minnesota. It does add another player to the mix in terms of their potential bottom six for the season. There was a minor league trade made between Seattle and Philadelphia yesterday, and it is purely minor leaguers. Both of them are 22 years of age. The one going to Seattle is John Randall Avon, center. He was undrafted as well. 60 games played in the AHL this past season, just 7 goals, 10 assists, 17 points for him. Going to Philadelphia is Tucker Robertson, who was a number 123 pick by the Seattle Kraken back in 2022. Played 38 games this past season at the AHL level, 4 goals, 5 assists, 9 points. Since both players are centers, both of them are 22 years of age, both of them putting up depth numbers in the AHL, it is purely a move of probably fourth-line centers and swapping places. So best of luck to both players in new places. So there was a poll done in Canada, and I'm always interested to see how this turns out because it does feel like hockey's not as popular in Canada as it used to be, but according to the poll, the NHL is still by far the most followed sport in Canada, the most watched sport in Canada. The NFL is second. The NFL is more popular than its Canadian cousin, the CFL, which has been talked about certainly across Canada for a long time. In that, if the NFL did expand into Canada, that could really significantly hurt the CFL's bottom line. But the NFL's number 2, Major League Baseball's number 3, CFL's number 4, and the NBA's number 5 in terms of sports that are followed in Canada. F1 was 6th. And also, apparently, if junior hockey was eligible and wasn't for this, but junior hockey would have been in the top 10. The CHL is very popular in Canada, so I'm almost surprised the NBA would be ahead of them, but it's just barely according to the way that the polling was done. So Connor McDavid, we know he's going into a final year of his contract. We've got the Olympics coming up, and there is Olympic headlines every day right now on various hockey-related sites because everybody's really excited about the NHL going back to the Olympics. It is as I thought it would be that's going to be a daily topic. I will get a good laugh if the actual gold medal game is between Sweden and Finland, because the discussion points seem to be, well, U.S. and Canada, and they will be favorites, but I'm telling you, the Olympics are a little bit different than what we saw at Four Nations. Anyways, getting back to Connor McDavid. McDavid wants to score more goals this season. Says, yeah, I got to 100 assists, but I enjoy the goals more. Connor McDavid is one of those few players that if he decides, I think I want to get more goals, he will. He will. He wills the puck into the net. He is one of the best all-around players in the National Hockey League's history. My argument's been for a long time, I think he's the best forward in the game. I've thought he's the best forward in the game for a long time now. And so if he wants to score 50 or 60 goals, he'll probably score 50 goals. The one thing is, if he decides to take more shots and not pass it as much, will that negatively impact Draisaitl's totals? In that on the power play, they're very often passing to one another, and if McDavid's taking those shots on the power play, it could negatively impact Draisaitl. So this is an interesting little tidbit about the Ottawa Senators. Some will think this is petty if it turns out to be true. So there's a Ridley Gregg bobblehead night coming, and it's going to be before a game against the Florida Panthers. It appears to show Ridley Gregg taking a slap shot, so if you go down that rabbit hole, you would remember him taking the slap shot on the empty net, and the issue that the Toronto Maple Leafs and Morgan Riley had with that after, and the suspension that follows. So if the Ottawa Senators have a bobblehead to commemorate that occasion, well, it's an interesting choice. It's an interesting marketing choice, and it's one of those bobblehead night kind of things. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on this. The one article I read was Bruce Garriock saying that he knows that he thinks Sens fans will love it and Leafs fans will hate it. I'm not sure if Leaf fans are going to get all that worked up about it. I don't think so, because it was a couple years ago, but you never know. Fans have long memories and all that. So I do think it's interesting. We'll see if that is what it turns out to be. The Chicago Blackhawks have unveiled their inaugural Hall of Fame class. So the Chicago Blackhawks have their own Hall of Fame, and starting today, and they've inducted some pretty big names here. Chris Chelios, and I wrote them down in the same order they posted them. Chris Chelios, Tony Esposito, Glenn Hall, Marian Hossa, Bobby Hull, Duncan Keith, Steve Larmer, Keith Magnuson. I'll put the H in Keith Magnuson, who was before my time, but just barely. Stan Mikita, Pierre Pilote, and Denny Savard rounds things out. So that is a pretty strong inaugural Hall of Fame class. If they put that many in the Hall of Fame every year, well, I mean, they won't. Obviously, it's an inaugural class. You want to fill it out. You want it to have, all the big names in there. You wouldn't want to have like 4 or 5 and then people complaining about who's not on the list. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below regarding that and any other items on the board. In terms of the personal news that I mentioned at the start, it does appear that my wife will be home this weekend. Everything's trending in the right direction. All of her tests have been positive. And by positive, I mean they've been negative of anything bad. So, yeah, it looks like she'll be home this weekend. And that'll be great for us. It'll be great for my sleep as well. So looking forward to being a little bit more well rested. It's been a rough 3 weeks, but at any rate, thank you guys so much for your support throughout. Hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for watching as always. I will talk to you again soon.